Part 1 Introduction. Undertale is a role-playing game released in 2015 by Toby Fox. The game consists of a two-dimensional world that contains random monster encounters, similarly to the Pokemon games. Unlike most RPGs, though, Undertale uses bullet hell style combat, where you have to physically dodge the monster's attacks, setting it apart from other games even with the gameplay alone. However, Undertale is not primarily known for its gameplay, but for its story and humor. Part 2 Media Literacy. Undertale absolutely loves to subvert and parody common video game tropes like long hand-holdy tutorials, dating characters in the game, and selling your useless items to shopkeepers for some easy money. One of the most prominent examples of Undertale's subversion is LV. In traditional RPGs, this stands for level, as in power level, but Undertale immediately subverts this by saying that LV instead stands for love. Flowey, a small flower who seems to act as the game's battle tutorial, offers to share some love with the player via his friendliness pellets. However, as soon as the player touches one, they take nearly lethal damage, and Flowey explains his true motives for a double subversion. It is eventually explained by Sans in the last corridor that love is also an acronym for level of violence. Unlike traditional RPGs, where players usually just mindlessly attack and defeat any enemy they encounter, Undertale allows you to spare monsters instead of attacking. However, the game often gives mixed signals on when to attack and spare, meaning most players will defeat at least a few monsters on their first playthrough. Only near the very end of the game, once it is practically impossible to go back and change what you have done, is the player explicitly told that killing monsters has a real impact on the world. Sans refers to monsters as people and says that the player killed them to take their money. This is designed to make the player empathetic for the monsters they killed and eager to be a better person next time they play the game. Or it may just make them wonder how far they can take it. Undertale has three main routes players can take to progress through the game: pacifist, neutral, and genocide. They all start the same, but based on how many monsters the player kills, they diverge very quickly. As the names might imply, pacifist is a playthrough where the player refuses to kill anything, genocide is a playthrough where the player kills everything, and neutral is anything in between. The genocide route is a subversion of level grinding in normal RPGs, a tactic where the player defeats as many enemies as possible to get much stronger before moving on to the next area, therefore making the rest of the game much easier. But in Undertale, once you defeat all of the monsters on an area, all random encounters are replaced with the text, "But nobody came," with slow, ominous music replacing the normal upbeat battle music, and all of the non-player characters disappear from the overworld. Instead of there being an unlimited amount of monsters like in most RPGs, Undertale makes it feel like you're wiping out an entire population, hence the name of the route. The player cannot passively or accidentally trigger the genocide route. They have to be fully intent on destroying every single monster. Not just every monster they happen to run into, but every monster in every area until they're all gone. All of Undertale's subversion makes players much more aware of these tropes in other video games. For example, I can't sell items in other RPGs anymore without thinking of Undertale's shops. Players of Undertale gain a greater understanding of many common video game tropes, because most people can better recognize tropes when they're subverted and parodied than when the tropes exist naturally. Undertale also left some parts of the greater lore intentionally vague, mysterious, and hard to find, especially information about Sans and the former royal scientist W.D. Gaster. Players will likely need to replay the game several times in order to find just one of these secrets, which encourages the player to fully explore the game world to discover other things they may have missed. Alternatively, it gives the player an opportunity to interact with the wider community to see what other people have found. The few loose ends in the lore cause many players to think about the game even after they've stopped playing, to make their own theories about what is really going on behind the scenes or what happened in the past, as many Undertale fans have done over the years. Part 3 Morals. The overall message of Undertale is that your actions, both good and bad, have consequences. Sans' final judgment of your actions near the end of the game, combined with the fact that you can get nearly 100 different endings across 9 main branches based on who and how much you spare or kill, makes it seem like every single monster, even the random encounters, have a story behind them. The neutral endings dialogue, where Sans tells the player what has happened in the underground since the player left, really make the player understand the consequences of their actions, whether good, bad, or just sort of in between.